Hey, what's up everybody? The new Zooms are here for the month of June, and in this video, I'm going to go over Captain Lightyear from the Lightyear series. Now, one thing I do want to call out is that the drop rates are not equal. Captain Lightyear is a little bit more difficult to get compared to Pixar Lamp as well as Socks. So if you don't get Captain Lightyear right away, don't sweat it. You'll likely get them if you just spend a little bit more coins, which for some people might be a little bit more difficult, but Captain Lightyear is worth getting if you have the coins to spend. So let's get into it and take a look at Captain Lightyear. So his ability description is clear zooms where you tap a set number of times. And that set number of times will depend on what skill level you have him at. There are two differences for Captain Lightyear. Every single time you level up his skill, two things will change. Actually, well, one thing will change, but there are two things that can change. The first is how many zooms you'll need to activate his ability, and second is how many taps you get during his ability time. I'll get into his ability in just a second, but if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review zooms, do game demonstrations, do monthly leaks, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Alright, so let's take a look at Captain Lightyear's stats. To activate Captain Lightyear's ability, you'll need to get a total of 16 to 22 Captain Lightyears off the screen, and this number is going to depend on what skill level you have him at. His minimum score is 40 with a maximum score of 1,265. This is actually identical to Pilot Luke and R2-D2 from last month, so it is a high scoring zoom. And actually, if you normally use Jedi Luke for high score, Captain Lightyear might even be better than Jedi Luke for score. And if you would like to get Captain Lightyear to skill level 6, you'll need to get a total of 36 copies of him from the premium box. Right now it is lucky time, so it is a lot easier to get Captain Lightyear as of right now in early June. It is going to get a little bit more difficult towards the end of the month because at the end of the month's lucky time, you're also going to get the two new zooms from the middle of the month. So if you are trying to get Captain Lightyear maxed out, right now is going to be the time. So this game demonstration that you're currently watching is a skill level 1 game demonstration, and just using this to talk about his ability, what happens during his animation or during his ability, you'll be able to tap the screen to direct where his laser beams go. So let me get into that a little bit more in a side-by-side comparison. So in this portion of the video, I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison of skill level 1, 2, and 3. And the major difference between all three of these skill levels is two things, is how many zooms you're going to need to activate the ability. For skill level 1 and skill level 2, you're going to need 22 copies of Captain Lightyear's cleared off the screen to activate his ability. But for skill level 3, you're only going to need 19. The difference between skill level 1 and skill level 2 though, is that you're going to get an additional tap, and that laser beam actually matters a lot. So let's talk a little bit about strategy, and the strategy will vary a little bit depending on what skill level you have him at, but generally speaking, the ability is relatively the same. What happens during the ability is that you're going to be able to tap the screen to direct some laser beams, and these three game demonstrations, by the way, are not fair representation of what you could achieve with Captain Lightyear. These are my first impressions, and these were my first attempts. As you see, these laser beams don't copy what I'm doing here for the most part. They're incorrect. Later on, I'm going to do a more in-depth analysis on how to properly use Captain Lightyear. And Captain Lightyear is one of those zooms where it's worth investing your skill tickets on. So I'm going to spend a little bit more time in showing you guys how to properly use Captain Lightyear. But you get the general idea here, where for skill level 1, you only get 2 taps and you burst 2 areas. But for skill level 2 and 3, you get 3 areas. And the difference between skill level 1 and skill level 2, you should be able to see a little bit more abilities activated per game because it does require 1 less Captain Lightyear to activate his ability. As a general tip that applies to all of the Captain Lightyear's abilities, or whichever skill level you have him at, is try to get rid of the magic bubbles right after the ability time. If you want to be strategic about it, you might want to save those magic bubbles if your fever bar is a little bit low. But the idea is that you don't want to have any magic bubbles on the screen when you're activating Captain Lightyear's ability. So it will be strategic to pop those off the screen before you actually activate his ability. And if you know what the carryover effect is, you might also want to implement that because you'll be able to activate more abilities per game, earning you more coins and a higher score. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you guys is a side-by-side comparison of all three of these skill levels and their abilities activated at the same time, and then we could dissect it and really take a look at what is happening here. I'm also going to slow this down so that way I can walk you through exactly what is happening on the screen. For this part, I'm only going to have you focus on the first 2 taps. Keep in mind, skill level 2 and 3 will have 3 taps, but these first 2 taps are very important and they're going to be standard between skill level 1 and skill level 6. So take a look at the screen here. You'll see that for skill level 1, I was able to get 2 clears. The first one was 22 and the second was 15. For skill level 2, I got 2 18s, and for skill level 3, I got a 21 and a 16. All of these adds up to 36 or 37, and that's really the aim that you want to have. If you get it perfect, you should get something of like 25 and 12. But if you get 22 and 15, 18 and 18, or 16 or 21, you're within the ballpark of what you want to achieve. So keep that magic number in mind. Aim for a clear of 37. And I'll show you exactly where you want to aim this. So I'll play this one more time. And you'll want to aim somewhere in the middle, but not directly in the center. You want to be like middle, but to the right a little bit. And the left one, it's going to be a little bit short. So you're not going to get the maximum radius for the second burst. So you could either do left side or right side. It doesn't really matter. But just make sure that one side gets a full radius clear. And then the other one is exactly on the same level, but more towards the right side. So you get a total of 36 or 37. Alright, so you might wonder, what about the third tap, or maybe even the fourth and the fifth, because the higher skill level, you get more taps. So I want to turn your attention to skill level 2. Where you want to tap it is right where the B is for fever bonus. It's going to be somewhere between the coin counter and the letter B. If you see that arch there, that's the game, I guess like arena. That's the maximum area where you could tap. So you want to tap either right at the B or slightly above it. And any taps that's above 3, you want to tap it right there. And also there is a rhythm to it, but I'm going to cover that in a future video, because for skill level 2 and 3, you only get 3 taps. So that third tap, you want to tap right above the B where you see it for skill level 2. And if you do that, you'll be able to get a good, decent amount of clears. And the reason for that is when you tap, or when you have those 2 bursts initially, it's going to trigger the third, or trigger all the Tsums to start falling from the top already. But that third blast, or that third tap, it's going to catch all the Tsums that are falling but hasn't really formed yet. So that's why if you see for skill level 2 and 3, you'll see that as the Tsums are dropping, that they'll start to clear. But if you don't tap it where the letter B is, you may not get the maximum amount of coins, because the Tsum starts to funnel down. So you want to tap it right at the very top of the screen before you even see the Tsum. So if you see my skill level 2 game demonstration, I probably should have tapped even a little bit earlier, because as you saw there, Tsums were already starting to fall. Alright, so overall, I really do like Captain Lightyear, and I think that if I played these game demonstrations better, I would have been able to get a higher score and also a lot more coins. But these are my first impressions, and even without playing it strategically, I was able to get a decent amount of coins. And I think where I could really see these coin potentials is that starting at skill level 2, you could use the 5-4 and the coin boost. So I think if you could get Captain Lightyear to skill level 2, it starts becoming effective. So let me show you my results for these 3 game demonstrations. For skill level 1, I ended up with 1,409 coins. For skill level 2, I ended up with 1,525 coins. For skill level 3, I ended up with 1,817 coins. And keep in mind, these coin earnings were not using the right strategy. I was still trying to figure out what is the best way of using this Tsum. So if you use the right abilities or the right strategy, you're definitely going to be able to get a lot more coins. And if you have this Tsum at a higher skill level and you're playing it with the strategy that I just mentioned to you, do me a favor and comment below on what is your highest coin count without the coin boost. So if you're wondering what the true coin count is for all 3 of these skill level, check out the comments below and see what everyone else got. As for score, these were my base score. Keep in mind that these game demonstrations were played with Captain Lightyear at level 1, level 2, level 3, so very, very low level. And even at that, it was pretty impressive. For skill level 1, I almost got to 5 million points. Skill level 2, I got 5.3, and for skill level 3, I got 6.6. And actually, when I was practicing with Captain Lightyear, I was able to beat my Jedi Luke score. And this leads me to believe that Captain Lightyear might be better than Jedi Luke when it comes to score. So once I get Captain Lightyear to level 50, I'll let you know if that is true or not. So that's my review for Captain Lightyear. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you guys would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.